Hello. Welcome to our Monday chat. This is our chat number 4 with artist Monica Bravo. She's a multidisciplinary artist with lots of material and lots of work through the years. We are very happy to represent part of his work in the art design project. So I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to invite her. She's in New York, and we're just going to connect now. Thank you for being here. And sending the invitation. Let's take a look. Great. We're about to start. Let's wait for her to connect. Hello, Monica.
Hola.
Now we see a blue tape. Are you there?
Yeah, I'm here. I'm here now.
Okay, we are live.
Hi. So good to be here.
Great.
Can you hear me well?
Very well. Somehow the connection is not. Can you hear me better?
Perfect. I'm sitting next to the Wi-Fi for some reason. The last weeks in New York, the connections are very, very funny. So
Tricky.
I'm just.
But everybody's connected.
Yeah.
Is a wonderful thing. Well, thank you so much for being here today in our 4th chat that we have with all the artists that we represent, and we are delighted to have you as one of them. I always start the chats telling people how did we met.
You want me to tell you the story or them the story?
A short version will be very nice.
Okay. This is what I remember because sometimes memory is something that plays a lot of tricks. So, sorry, something's going on here. Okay. So I was back in Colombia in 1991, 92. I don't remember exactly I was living in Europe for 8 years, and I was studying fashion, and I was doing different things, photography. And I remember that I went to a discotheque that it was in downtown Bogota, and it was a very avant-garde place. I think it was called Barbaria. I don't remember.
Barbaria in La Candelaria, which is an old neighborhood, yes.
And this discotheque was by these people, los Atorcepelados. This is a very famous.
Atorcepelados, a very famous thing.
And I remember I had this very crazy boyfriend. He was a ballet dancer. My mother was like, "What are you doing here? You came back," and my hair was very short, and I was very tomboyish, and I had like this very androgynous kind of look at the time. And I remember that you were in a column, something like that. I don't know, probably somebody introduces, but I don't remember who it was. And I had an incredible conversation with you. And I was like, oh, this is somebody I would like to really connect to, because I felt that you and me shared something. It's like we never felt that we belonged in the place where we're coming from. And there was a sort of kinship in that moment. I was like, I like this guy. And I remember you were not in the arts. I was not an artist then. I was a photographer, and I was very interested in fashion. I had done 4 years of fashion school, and we kept in touch, and we always met at the discotheques. We then emigrated to the other one, to Barbie or whatever. I don't remember the names.
To Pipeline.
Yeah. So we used to hang out and dance, and then we had friends in common. And then I was doing a lot of photography. I was doing like portraits and a little bit of fashion.
Great portraits.
Thank you. Yeah.
I do remember, sorry to interrupt you now to recap, I remember that when I saw you, you were this real interesting character that I do wanted to meet too. And you were living in Greece at the time. And I remember your name was Monica with K. And I was very curious to know why a person was not, and you explained to me that in Greece and the K and the culture, and you were taking these amazing black and white portraits. And we did a project together. I remember many, at the time with a friend of ours. But then suddenly you disappear, I disappear, and we re-encounter in New York.
Yeah, we both disappeared, not like we didn't make it in purpose, but we kind of landed in New York, a couple of years.
When did you move to New York?
I moved September 18, 1994, because my astrology at the time told me, you know, if I don't leave by that date, my destiny is not going to be fulfilled. And I was like, I bought the ticket for that day.
Yeah,
And I called, and I
I
said,
moved in 1991, so that was a
okay, yeah. So I know. And then we were living in the same neighborhood in the Lower East Side, like a few
yes.
blocks away. Remember? And
Uh,
then we used to see each other, and we were each having his own, you know, way of discovering the city and discovering ourselves through the city, then becoming ourselves with the city. So that for me has been like the biggest education I had. As I heard you speaking to somebody the other day, that you say you were educated in the streets of New York. I was educated in the museums and galleries of New York. You know, so
well,
I relate to.
I did my part pretty much. I say it in the streets, but I did my part everywhere because I was lucky enough to see, you know, everything. You never get bored in New York, and it's a perfect place to live alone, to see all these amazing museums and galleries and fashion people walking in the street. You know, you always were an artist to me, and now suddenly you have evolved in these amazing multidisciplinary artists that explore all these amazing areas, you know, from animation, textile, photography, video, a lot of stuff. You even have another astrology. You even have another character that you have greatly successfully posted on Instagram. And I love the fact that you work in a way, it's always with lots of color. Why? You know, you haven't, you're a maximalist person in a way for me. You know, you like a lot of stuff at once in the same pieces. And when I encounter you again, you know, we start to see this amazing body of work, and it's so fascinating to see all this amount of color. You know, why color?
Well, this is what happened. I used to do a lot of black and white because I was like, when I was growing up, I was more of a purist. I wanted to learn things from the source. So I was always trying to find the right teacher that they will like teach me how to learn something from the very beginning. So then when I had practice, I could go and search by myself and do my own thing. So I did black and white color photography for a long time. And then when I moved to Colombia, I started doing color, but I was very shy with the color because I think that I'm a very colorful person, my personality. But being in Colombia, and you know, when you are too colorful, the society wants to put you down and tone you down. And my mom, like, God bless her, like, I love her. She just gave me all this opportunity of being myself. She always said, oh, try a little bit less, you know, you're a little bit too much. So I think that I never allowed the color to be out from me because I was not ashamed, but I was a little bit being too self-aware that I might clash with everybody and then get a lot of people going like, and I was trying to avoid that. So when I moved to New York, my work started developing, and I would put color here and there, but I still was shy. I was married to this Spanish guy, you know, great guy, but also, you know, Judeo-Christian Spanish tradition, like don't be too loud, don't speak too loud, don't laugh that hard. And so the color came out the year after my divorce. Like I left him from a Friday to a Saturday, and something happened. It's just like, and people ask me what happened, and I said I got a divorce. I got free from everything. I don't
Oh,
have
you
any.
were very happy. I remember how happy you were. So then it was just sort of a series of layers that you were putting on and on and on in a very minimalistic way, but with a maximalistic approach in the color.
I always say that I'm a minimalist, but I maximize the minimalism. I go to the edge of minimalism, and I like the idea of arranging things. You know, my house is full of stuff. Some of these things are mine, some other artists, and I like to the idea of arrangement. I don't like the museum kind of like one here, one there. I just don't think we live like that. Our closets are not like that. You know, I mean, I people are very arranged, but you don't put like one closet only here and then separation and then you know, you live with things together, and that's what I wanted to do. And I will use one word that I've been doing really very much aware is I'm synthesizing many different disciplines. I'm synthesizing my way of thinking, my way of living, my way of appreciating life. This is a synthesis, and that's what I want to do in my work.
Did you think you're a rebel when it
Am I
becomes?
a rebel?
Are you against the system or you are with the
Oh,
system?
I mean, I don't want to say the word anarchist, but I'm very much aware of my own rebellious side. And I'm very much aware because I've been doing a lot of astrology and self knowledge for many years. I've been training with like Taoists and Kabbalists and yoga masters, that they taught me that fire that I had inside and that, you know, urge that I wanted to go and be myself was called like, I just want to be authentic. And that's what I really cherish. And I think, and this is my hashtag, the only revolution is to be yourself. If you're yourself, you're fine. And you don't need to go, I mean, I don't want to hurt anybody, but I don't need to go out there and manifest in a protest. Being me is the biggest revolution. Just being myself.
And I love that about your work. You know, it's you know, through the conversation and actually showing some of the pieces that we represent, and we are going to be showing about some of the other projects that you do, you know, amazing projects and public spaces and animations that you have done with major installations and other museums around the world, and with companies such as MasterCard, and now you are starting your line of fabric. So the amount of energy that you have is amazingly you know, used towards producing and towards also enlighten people about your path in your career, because it's very solid. You know, you produce one piece, but you squeeze it all the way to the end before you start to another one. So I'm showing everybody a little bit of that sort of festival of color that I'm glad to start Monday. You know, yesterday I was just listening to the news that we are not going to have clear sunshines for the next couple of months. We're going to have, you know, so today in Miami and you're in New York, we wake up with a very sort of opaque palette. So I'm very happy to start with this color session.
Thank you. You know, the colors work with vibrations as music does. We just see a very little range of those vibrations. The human eye is not capable of perceiving all of it. I believe that I have a very high vibration, like a range. I can see so many colors. I can hear very well. Like I have, like my senses are overdeveloped. So I decided to put that into my work and see and put things together that normally are not matching, but then for the sake of contrasting, because when you work with color, you're not only working with vibration, but you also work with contrast and how you pairing things. So it's not just, you know, everything is done in a way. So like in this case of MasterCard, it was interesting, this piece, because they don't want me to use any blue because blue is Visa. So I was like, blue, but blue is one of my favorite colors. And then I had to figure it out how to put the blue so it wouldn't be just yellow and red. So you have to understand what the client needs, but at the same time go deep inside and try to not manipulate, but sort of like arrive to a point where everybody's happy. And most of all, like I'm expressing who I am from the very beginning and the end.
Yeah,
so,
I adore this installation because it's pretty much, you know, how you were able to make this sort of labyrinth of color within the darkness. And then from there, you know, take these amazing collections of photography and divide it in different series. And do you think they reflect the city that you live in it, or the space where you are now in your life? What do you think is the correlation between these two situations?
The thing is that you cannot separate the place where you are from the place that you're inside, because whatever you're feeling reflects both. So I can be reflecting my inside how I see the outside, depending on how my belief system. But I also can be affected if I'm not very concentrated or very much aware of my inside. I can be being like how do you say, the influence without having any control. So I am very much aware of both, because I've been working again. I'm a big meditator and I do a lot of Qigong. I'm working with a lot of energy. I've been working with energy. So for me, it's a complete understanding of both. You know, and one thing I wanted to say about the installation before, I did a collaboration with Cremat, with Rafael Castoriano, where we did something very specific for very specific time for MasterCard. And it was about the taste of MasterCard. So he was working with the taste in the form of macaroons, and we created this idea of a space where you go in and you're flooded with the senses. So it was amazing. It was just like the smell, the taste, the smell, the color, the movement, the touch, because it was projected on these walls, paper walls from these people, Molo Design. So people could touch it. And it was just a feast of the senses, which for me...
Because I remember once, many years ago, you have these same papers, but on white in your studio.
They're the same. They're produced by Stephanie and Todd. Sorry.
Canadian company,
They're
right?
from Vancouver, and I fell in love with those separating spaces when they came for the first time at the fair, at the the one in the Javits, and I was
Yeah,
crazy, and
yes.
I bought like 10 of them, and I gave it to my friends, and then they came and they said, "Who are you?" And I said, "I'm just a crazy person who, that when I love something, I just support." And then I wanted always to use it for a project, but it never really. I needed to find the right project. And when we started doing this thing with Rafael, I said, you know what, we should use the model pieces because we need something that it can be put and down in like amount of hours. We can project, it can separate, and it can create an atmosphere. So
I,
it was.
I remember very well how much you were believing in that particular project, in that particular item, because I remember walking into your loft in Chinatown and see that sort of white thing, and I was like, "What is this?" And you were like being very pursuant about me to use it, and and I was very scared about how sensitive it is and how delicate it is because it's paper. But then to see it, how you have been able to produce it, in this amazing kind of like it's like a dream, what you did there, which I love.
Well, this is interesting about you that you come from the design, like designing beautiful stuff is not that easy. And the simpler they are, the most clever and also transcend any form and function. So these are some people that I recognize, and I recommend a lot because I think that what they've done, it's genius. And I really recommend, and I can recognize the genius in other people, because that's what I'm striving for, to make this not perfection, but just arrive to a point that the life is so simple that it's just a breath. And when you have that breath that is perfect, you don't need anything else. Your life becomes colorful.
And how do you start that? Now that we are seeing all these photography images, how do you start the images? If we can share a little bit of the process that you do in order to create.
Okay.
It's very manual, how you do it.
It's there's not a single project that have the same kind of linearity, because also I believe that time is not really linear, like Judeo-Christian tradition is trying to impose us the literature and history that comes from A to Z. It's not like that. For me, time is more perceived like an ancestor that is cyclical. So depending on the phase I am in that cycle, I will start an idea here. It could be a dream, it could be a smell, it could be something that inspires me. Like the word inspiration means to be connected with your spirit, in spirit. So, for instance, the project of the one that you're showing there, that is also a commission for a lawyer firm in Manhattan. I started with my database of a lot of images. I have images of water, skies, whatever. So I use them as color. And then I start with the idea of course, what is it that I want to do? And I'm right now I use Instagram, I use paper, I print, I use scissors, I use all kinds of things to make collage and then to animate them. So I cannot tell you this started first and this is then, because it's just very different. I'll show you, because I have here, they're ready to be sent to the monitor, but right now we're waiting. So this is a collage for the timeless that you just show. And it's all done in paper, but it's like, it has so many processes that I don't know how to do it. I'll just have to be so much in myself to produce it and then to go, oh, okay. Oh, okay. I'm more like a painter. I believe I always wanted to paint. So I think that painters paint like that. So I'm more in that process of.
So you do the images first manuals with piece of papers and then you photograph them.
No, but the images are coming from old videos. I always use I always make reference to my work. So I always go back and I say, what do I have? 2005. Ooh, I have that. So I start picking things up as I feel them. And then I put them on Instagram. I create filters. I put them back. I print and I cut. And then a phone call arrives. And then I'm looking at something, go, oh, this. So there's no linearity. And the good thing is that I didn't go to art school. I was not trained as an artist. This is what I think an artist is doing. So I'm inventing the work. And I don't care if people don't do it like that. It works for me.
Yeah.
So,
In this particular image that we have, I love the juxtaposition of the image, these different circumstances that is happening in this moment, and the movement that is around, within the color and the white space and the gray of the floor. They certainly look like alive pieces.
Well, here, this was very interesting because I had this idea years ago. I didn't want to go to art fairs anymore because I was finding myself limited by the wishes of the public. And I don't want to work like that. I want to break free. I want to help everybody to break free from trauma. Like, be yourself. So, but I thought, okay, in this circumstance, if I'm allowed to do something completely that is working in my mind and nobody says no, I'll do it. And I made a proposal, and they say yes, and I go, oh, I have to produce it. So I was at the time thinking about the idea of the kimono as what it is. It's something to wear, but it's also the understanding of what an object means. Who gives the value to the object? And I was really making a little bit of a criticism to the art world in the sense that we have objectified so much a practice that we're not really very much aware of who is the object. Is it the artist, or is it the piece, or is it the collector? So I was kind of playing a little bit with that idea because kimonos, which means that thing to wear, for many centuries, they were produced in the home of the people. You will buy 5 meters of 70 centimeters piece of cloth, and you will wear, you just pretty much cut the fabric straight. And then you make, the color, and then you make the 2 parts. And the interesting thing is when you're little, the sleeves will determine if you're married, you're a maiden, or you're already married or widow. And also the samurais will use it to determine what kind of belief system you have. So it was a social garment that will silently tell people who was what. So, story goes further, and then they become more westernized. So the kimono started being this object of museum where people were hanging it. It was no longer a social thing. It was something, the status goes to the wall, which is a little bit what happens with the art. So, and then, I don't know, a few years ago, everybody wants to wear a kimono to go to the beach. So I was just making fun of that idea. It's like people calling kimonos just la bata, like that's not a kimono. So I made fun a little bit of that, and I produced these textiles. I designed them, and they're all full silk, and they're produced in Italy, handmade, and I did it for the show. And I integrated mosaic, intervening the wall with graphite and with yarn, and also pieces of I had an animation there. I had wallpaper. I had a little bit of everything. I was
it's so funny because you have your own subway station in New York. You did an amazing project, and can you tell us where exactly is? It's just you work with the Mosaic in Italy, and you were commissioned by the city of New York to do this stop for the subway. Where is this exactly?
Okay, so I've been doing a lot of public art since 2005 probably, and I've done a lot of them that are like in institutions that they belong to governments, or I also do a lot of private corporate commissions. So I was nominated by the MTA Arts and Design, which is the people who run the MTA, which is the subway, and they have their own curatorial play system. And I was nominated, and I had to propose for a station. They were doing a pilot program where they were going to renovate 100 stations. They're in the process right now. So I had to have a contest with 12 other important artists. I remember the day I went there, I was like, oh my God, am I going to get this? But then I thought, of course I'm going to get it. I've been doing public art. So I made a proposal, and this is after my divorce, and I'm into pieces. I'm really shattered inside. Although I was like, yeah, inside I was completely broken. So I was starting to think, what is the idea of a mosaic? And the mosaic is like this accumulation of small pieces put together, and they make a beautiful thing, a form, something. And I thought, oh, maybe I should go back to all my work and cut it, throw it to the air, and make it fall. And that's how I did the main design.
And what is the station in New York? And what part of Manhattan is?
Prospect Avenue on the art line. It's after Red Hook, and it's on the line that goes to Bay Ridge.
Wonderful.
And have 5 murals they're all made by this company in Germany that is called Franz Mayer. They've been in business for 170 years. They made the most beautiful mosaics in New York. They made the one of Vic Muniz on the 72nd Street, and and they made this beautiful piece from the Stern Brothers and down in where they get the ferry, Staten Island Ferry. Beautiful stuff. So I wanted to work with them. They're the best. That really, and they print it. My mosaic has a print. You can see it's like photographic prints. So
It's amazing to see even when the pieces are on a wall or laid down in a gallery, all your pieces looks very much in movement. And I really appreciate that as a viewer, because, you don't have to just go straight to look at the piece. You can move to many different places and understand what you're trying to transmit, and that's what I love, that the MTA select you, because you go in the subway and then suddenly you go really fast. But, one of the wonderful things is that you see this explosion of colors and happiness, which I think is divine.
In the proposal, and I was very daring. In the proposal, I said, I want when people see it to fall off on the track. And they were like, that's dangerous. And I said, wow, what is this? And I get a lot of people posting their pictures, like themselves with it, because it's a beautiful backdrop for selfies. It's just beautiful.
Yeah, I'm showing the piece up here where they do in the mosaic, right?
Yes, that's in Germany. That's in Munich. And this is girls that were doing the mosaic. They really made incredible translation of my work. Actually, this piece here comes from there. This is before the mosaic. And if you see them next to one another, it's
perfection.
It's perfect. They because you have to find, when you work with artisans, you have to find the people who really speak the same language as you do. So then you can just have like the confidence that they will translate your vision, you know?
Yeah. No, they did perfectly. I think it's beautiful. All the stations in New York, many of them, they look kind of dirty in a way because there's so much traffic. But now, it looks impeccable. It looks pristine, and I love that fact.
And this is what came afterwards. This is made from the subway, became the textile. So I always take the last bit of something and I make it into something, and then this. So it's like the family's growing.
Yeah. And I adore, we're showing a picture here of one of the benches, and just to see this amazing sort of explosion of color is amazing. Another thing that you have done, which I actually talked to you a couple of days ago, is you did this commission in England, for this hospital, and how to incorporate and how to vibrate your emotions as an artist and combine it with people that are just resting or having a bad time, as we are now,
Well, this is for the Chelsea Westminster Hospital in London, and I represented the Vatican at the Biennale in 2015. And there's this wonderful curator, Virginia, that she came and she saw it. She said, we have a hospital in London. We're working with colors in order to soothe patients. Instead of giving them so much morphine, we want them to really heal with color. And there's a whole thing called chromotherapy, like for a long time, that you don't have to get injection. So this is 33 murals that they are at the ICU. So it's the most emergency part of that hospital. This is what they see in each cubicle where, when you go to see the doctor, you're going to have that. So I had to do some search, and I had to fly many times to London to talk to people. To just make sure that they were not going to feel too dizzy, because sometimes people come with like problems in their head, like they hit the head. So I couldn't have any blurry images, and I wanted them to recognize that London is there and that life is there and that color is going to help them heal. So you can be there and just finding new stuff. So the other day when I read that Boris Johnson was at the ICU at the Westminster, I was like, oh, I wonder if he saw my pictures. And then that's how
he did.
I healed. And I put them on Instagram.
I'm sure he did. I actually was very glad to see them, because I know you did it maybe a couple of years ago. And art heals. Art have the power to heal and to create love. And when I see these pictures, yes, you do recognize London, but also it is a sense of optimism, which I simply love within this particular installation. What projects are you working now on?
Well, okay, so I have the great capacity to work in different levels. So I'm working on 2 commissions right now. They're thank God moving forward despite the quarantine. They called me last 2 weeks, and so I'm in production. One of them is animation for the University of Texas. They have a wonderful, wonderful art program there. And this was a commission that I was granted years ago, but there were some technical problems because I was create something for a globe, but the technical part of it was not the standards that I wanted. So we sort of waited, and right now we picked it up, and I'm going to create something completely, I mean, that it has a lot to do with this geoscience department, but it's going to be flat. So I'm working on that right now. And I'm also working on another, I cannot really say the name, but it's somewhere near in New Jersey it's a public space. It's like a garage. So I'm going to be enveloping the garage with all this movie, but it's going to be mosaic. So I'm working on that. Also in the quarantine, I created this alter ego. I love sense of humor. I'm a very profound human being. You know, I really believe that in mysticism and things that make me evolve, but I'm also like a clown. So I like to combine that. And I think in these times, if we don't use a sense of humor, you know, what's the point? So I created this alter ego. It's called Palas Athena, and I'm teaching astrology online. I don't know if people notice, but every day I put something in, and there's a website that you can go, and if you really want to learn about evolutionary astrology, it's there. It's for free. My new school of astrology, a very, very Uranian, very rebellious, and very avant-garde. So I'm doing that. And I'm also doing an opera. I'm working on an opera, and it's all full of miniatures. So that's what I've been working the last 6 months. And all these things are coming to me in dreams. So for me, the dream moment, when I go to bed at 9 until like 7, it's my studio there. I have dreams. They tell me what to do. I write down, and then I come and I start doing, oh my God, this and this and that. So I take a lot of information from the subconscious.
What do you think is going to be next, you know, in terms of the world of art, you know, and that sort of world of art that belongs to a very small group of world of art people that dominate the market, and artists like you that are fighting their way out there? No, you know, you represent by a couple of galleries, but you know, what do you think is going to be next for all of them after this?
Okay, first of all, I'm going to change a little bit the thing. I do not fight for anything. I am. And it might feel to others that I'm like a feisty. No, I'm just being myself. And two, I'm not really represented by a lot of people. I want to be able to work together with people who are in tune with me. Like when you talk about my work, I know you're connected to it. I'm not just another picture on the wall. And that's what I was feeling, that it was failing. It was not about the artist. It was not about my vision anymore. It was not about having a conversation about my vision, but about feeling something for somebody else. So it was about the needs of somebody else and not mine. So I cannot predict what's going to happen. The only thing that I'm sure is that if we all go inside a little bit, not everybody has to go as deep as I go, right? But if you go a little bit deep inside and you really ask yourself how you want to be and what you want to become and how you're going to serve this world in the next 10 years, that's going to make a very big difference. So my whole thing is about being of service. And how can I be of service? By being the best person that I am. And by doing so, I will always connect to people like you or others that they see that spark in me and they want to have it in their place. And that's the way I connect. So I am going to go way, way beyond a market. I don't care about those things because this been a lot of speculation. That doesn't mean that if you call me tomorrow and you have a client, I'm not going to do it. But I'm not going to play into that system. My system is be myself. Relate to people who relate to me, not as a number or as a position, but as a human being. And as long as I am in that, I'm going to be fine. Actually, I am great because I've been doing that. And I'm not here to say that they're good or bad because I'm no judge. I don't care. I don't want to waste time judging people. I don't want to waste time saying that this is not working. I mean, I have so much to do that I want to be able to be inspirational to other people. And I have 3 words that I use a lot. It's like, I am here to connect emotionally to you so I can communicate and then I can inspire you to be yourself. Now, I don't want you to copy me. I want you to go and do the same with you and inspire other people. Pay it forward. Then we can build an incredible society. And believe me, there are people like me that they're doing something similar because they're being themselves and they're going to make it. I am not in doomsday.
What are you, as a Colombian, you know, we are both from Colombia, what do you think was your your first inspirations in Colombian art, what you saw when you were, young and you got inspired by it?
That was Colombian or that I saw when I was little?
When you were little, then
Okay.
we'll ask you what inspired you, outside the world. But I want to start with,
So I grew up in Bogota, and I had something that marked my life very much. It was my father went to buy a pack of cigarettes when I was 8, and he crashed and he died. So my life changed dramatically at that age, and I had to really start questioning big things rather than just like little. So I was a little girl, and then I was like, why did that happen? And so I went to his bookshelves and found that he was an avid reader of philosophy. So I started reading philosophy, and that's what got me really inside of going very, very deep. So I always say that in order to look for him, I found myself. So he was also an avid, like he loved music, and he was a melomano. He just sit down and we would go to concerts. So my first interaction with art is actually music. Music, I go to concerts. Yesterday I was walking with somebody and I said, damn, I'm really gonna miss the music of going to music, because that's where I really go 2 or 3 times a month. I go to sit down and listen to music in a place, and now with social distances, forget it. So for now, and so it was music the one, and I did a whole piece. It's called Musical Notations, and they're, like musicians feel the music and they create. But then in order for the music to be interpreted by somebody else, they have to write in the pentagram, blah, blah, blah. So they have to do a notation. So there's already a translation there from the feeling of playing, of composing to that. So I was very interested to see if I was able to create my own language of what I feel when I listen to the music. So I created all this series called Music Notations, and they're very, very abstract. And that comes because when I was little, and I keep on doing, I speak very fast and a lot. And my dad was this quiet man that I would go to the room and he would say, "Ay, Monica, can you just listen to the music, close your eyes, and then make a drawing?" So he taught me to connect music to emotion and to visual. So that's what inspired me a lot. It was more visual and feeling, sensations than music.
It was not other artists. It was not nothing that you visually saw that was sort of, and then.
Yes, it was the landscape. The landscape. We come from the most amazing landscape in the world. We have all the mountains for me, the clouds. I could be staring at them. I don't need to go to any museum. It's just there. It's so majestic.
Free museum, yes. It's a free
the green, when I land in Bogota, I always cry, oh my God, this green, the range of colors. So for me, it was nature and music, 2 things. And then art, like visual art, became even after fashion. I was more into fashion when I was little.
What was your biggest fashion influence as a designer?
I don't have influence. You see, I have a problem.
Or inspiration, or somebody.
I'm such an anarchist that and this is something that is very, very, very much in my chart. I have to be my own person. So I don't follow. I appreciate people like Mol. I appreciate people who are very original. I would say my designer that I use all the time right now, and I'm wearing him and I use him, and he's from Bulgaria and he's in Berlin. His name is Vladimir Karalev. Anything that he does, I appreciate him, but it's a one-to-one. So I went to school. I went to fashion school in Italy and then in Paris. And yeah, there were people I was inspired, but I already then knew that there was a system bigger than the inspirational part. And I left fashion because I noticed from the very beginning that you were going to become a brand and you were not going to be able to be free. And that's when I went into photography and then art. Because for me, it's just about being free to express. So I cannot see, I can understand when people make nice clothes, but I understand that the system in the art world is a system that is too crooked. I prefer to buy him. I haven't bought, I was looking at sometime this time, and I said, I'm going to buy you something because the stuff that I buy from him, they have no time. They're timeless. And I want to wear it and feel it and go, this is nice. So it has a different meaning.
Understood. Do you think the part of what's happening, especially in New York now, is going to be generating a new wave of new artists?
Absolutely. I went out. Absolutely. And something happened to me. I have to be, I'm very honest. I'm going to talk to you and maybe you're going to feel something about it. A few weeks ago, I've been in quarantine 60 days. So I did I follow the rules, which is very hard for me, but I said, hey, we got to do this, right? So for the sake of other beings. So I didn't really go out unless I had to go and buy stuff. But then like a week ago, I'm like, oh my God, 66 days.
Yeah.
It's really.
Suffocation. Yeah, absolutely.
I started going to the river. I live in Williamsburg. I started to go and I started to make, really see people again being so kind and so like connected to themselves, because everybody has suffered some way, somehow.
Absolutely.
So then also a few weeks before or something, they asked me to join a WhatsApp group from high school, and I just didn't want to do it because, it's just and please, you're so crazy, like you. And I said, okay. So I said, but beware, I'm gonna be myself. Beware. Saturday, there was this person. He was, if he had been here in the States, I will sue him for harassment. He was harassing me for being a mystic, an emotional being, an artist, and he said the worst things about me. So I was like, sparring, blah blah blah. And at one point, I go out of the street and I meet everybody being so kind. And then I sat down and I conclude, you know what? I'm not even going to spar with you. I'm going to tell you one thing. New York is the most contaminated city right now in the world because of COVID. I feel safer in the street in New York that I feel safe in this WhatsApp group. Goodbye. And so New York is New York, and I was here after 9/11, and I was inside of the building. I had a residency there. I went through the whole thing and losing all my studio, losing a friend, and we went back to being alive. This is different, but it's not that different. It's about the human spirit and how we can really consolidate ourselves by understanding what's going on and becoming more human. So I think
what is next then for you, in terms of like now being so much in touch with yourself and knowing what you want and feeling incredibly blessed by the chance that you are.
Leave New York soon. I had it. It's 26 years this year. I actually packed everything last year in the summer. I got rid of my studio. I got rid of my storage space. I sold everything. I only stayed with the few things that are important for me. And even when all this quarantine started, I was looking around my house and I said, if I have to go somewhere, what would I take? And I decided already in a couple of things that I'm going to take with me. The rest, it's done.
Where do you want to go?
I have a couple of places. So one of them, it's I want to go to the south of Europe. I feel very much home there. And I just want to be in a little town. But the other day I was thinking about exploring even more. I like the idea of New Zealand. I just want to go completely opposite. I just want to be, I'm a pioneer in many ways, and I'm not afraid of just being myself and being outcasted. I always been outcasted of everywhere, and I don't care. So I just.
It's a great thing to be in a place where you don't know, or you don't know how people react, or people how to, their feelings in a way. You cannot read them that easily. It happened to me. I took a sabbatic year in Asia for almost, for 12 countries, and it was amazing to be alone. I learned to be alone. I learned to completely understand humanity. And when I came back, it was just the best gift to me. I came back and I realized that I don't need that much stuff. So for me, when people ask me lately, how you doing? I was like, I'm fantastic. You don't miss to go out? And I said, well, no, I've been practicing quarantine for a long time. In a way, I just don't, I'm quarantined for everything that is not good for me,
And talking about our generation, I'm going to give away my age. I think you're younger, so, I can cover you, but we were born in the 60s, and in evolutionary astrology, we are people who are here to evolve in a situation of crisis. So when we find ourselves in crisis, we have already throughout the years faced more than one. And this crisis has given us the opportunity to evolve and to understand and to surrender to different things and understand that maybe that what we wanted was not going to happen. And so as soon as you surrender, I'm not saying giving up, you surrender to this force that is so strong, and you take what is good about it and you transform it, then you can do whatever. So I guess that for me, until not long ago, my biggest fear was to say to the world, I'm also a mystic. I was so afraid of being rejected. I was so afraid of being called names in the art world. And then one day I said, who gives a shit? Like, this is who I am. And the moment that I liberated myself, I'm just like, whatever. So it's been like 6 months that I care very much about things, but I don't care about what people respond, because that's not my problem. It's their problem.
I think every artist is a mystic in a way, because there is an incredible, you know, sensation inside each of you guys that allow you to understand the fact that, you know, the sensitivity of everything, you know, is you guys are 10 times more in touch with reality than us. You guys really grounded.
I agree with you, because there's a lot of professional artists right now that they're, you know, more involved in a more rational way of thinking. You know, they're more intellectual. I mean, I have nothing with that. We all use our intellect for different things, but they don't want to go deep into the realms of the soul and the evolution and understanding that maybe this is the source of things, and then rational mind, the logos, is something that is part of it. It's not
Well,
bad.
it happens not only to artists, to our dealers, to our galleries, to
Or it's about integrating, synthesizing all of them. Not this is better or worse, or I'm better than you, I know a few more words. It doesn't matter. I'm you know, I don't focus on that.
Yeah, well, that's a fantastic. And tell me something. What do you think? I know you have it all in a way, but what do you think is going to be your legacy? What do you want to leave as a legacy to the world?
Service.
More towards the mystic side.
No, it's not towards. I mean, my mystic side is as important as my most, like, you know, about sensations, about smelling and having a piece of silk. Is the same energy for me. It's just one is expressed physically and the other one is expressed spiritually, but they're all together. They're not separate anymore. I'm not about categorizations anymore. I think we're heading towards a complete dissolution of these categorizations. Actually, the generation was born from 87 until 2001 or 2. They're here for that. And I can't wait to train them and say, go for it. Go. I mentor a lot of them because I have a lot of assistants, and I have people that come to me, they want my mentorship, and I said, go ahead. And they end up not only learning about you know, work, but about astrology. They recuperate their own mysticism inside. And so, yes, let's go for it. Integration. It's not about categorization. And I think that everything that has categorized has created a lot of division. And within that division, we're having so much polarization that we hate each other. You know what's happening right now with the mask thing? If you don't wear a mask, people are policing you. People are telling you you're not doing right. And I'm like, who are you? So I don't really believe in the mask, but
I think we just got disconnected somehow. Hello? Yeah, okay, perfect.
I was being censored. No, I'm joking.
Yeah. Yeah, no, but you know, the whole mask situation is just a very, very...
But it's a state of mind. If you put a mask and you go outside and you believe you're not going to get sick, the moment you put a mask, you go, what am I doing? So for me, it became this thing. I bought this beautiful mask from this wonderful designer that's called 3S4. And I think that it's a fashion thing. So when I wear it, it's like, I'm going to wear this fashionable thing. And so I'm not thinking I'm going to be protecting from anything. I'm just going to be doing something that I'm required so everybody else feels safe. I don't need it, but I'm going to, you know, do it because I don't want to be, you know, have a fine or people going like this in the street. I can skip that. But it's all about how I feel. I do my own acupuncture. I do my own self of life.
You do your own acupuncture?
Yes, yes. I studied with the Chinese Taoists for many years. So I know a lot about Chinese medicine and the meridians and Qigong. And I know a lot about energy work. Been doing it for many years. So one of the pieces that I want to do is like to make sort of like a manual of the 3 things you need in order to survive somewhere. Not survive, thrive. What to cook, you know, what to plant, how to tap your body into like healthy, learn your chart so you know why you're different, and then keep on and then be happy, you know. That's it.
Are you able, you know, I'm just curious about, because are you able to describe in words all the individual pieces that you do, such as this one that we have on the screen now? Like, or it is up to the people to translate your feeling? You know, if you know, there's some artists that just go and say, oh, if you go deep here in the color, I was trying to look at this and I was just doing it and the feeling and blah, blah, blah. It is something that you wanted to describe, or is something that you expect the people to find?
This is the thing. Everything has layers. So, and everything depends on the perspective of the beholder. So if I am looking at something and my conditions allow me to go through the depth of the piece, then I'm going to be able to read that. Me as the creator, I have many depths. So I create depths in color, shape. I make historical references. I make architectural references. So if you are able to go through them because your conditions allow you to, you find them. If you don't, you just stay with like, oh, yeah, a circle, whatever. So I don't care. The only thing that I care is that I will mesmerize you. This is my only intent. I want to mesmerize the viewer if they allow to get inside, because once you go inside, you can find a lot of things about you.
You know, that is what I wanted to know, because, you know, every piece is so different, but if you put them all together, you understand they're part of the same birth, you know, the same process. If you see a piece like this, you see this amazing building on the background, but then you see these layers, and sometimes you feel like you're sewing inside in the pieces, you know, and you
Weaving.
Weaving, yes, which is quite divine. You know, and I like this, you know, like there's reference of art, as you mentioned before, reference of architectural, about, you know, landscape, about light, and about color, you know, and being in New York, to be able, there's such a great city in a way, you know, to be able to display such a level of color, you know, is quite unbelievable. You know, you're still up there, you know, inside your apartment, you know, not able to see, but you still can dream in this amazing pool of colors and ideas.
Yeah, well, what happens is, because I do a lot of commission, I'm always thinking very much about the place where that artwork is going to be and the people who are going to be able to receive that. So, and I'm also very interested in the geography and the topography and the history of the place. And, you know, places have evolved, especially like in New York, you have so many, you know, different levels of history living throughout the city. So I'm very interested. I always start to look what it was, the topography before there was any sort of progress. And then from there, I can tap into the history. And then through the history of architecture, you can see the history of humankind. So I go through that. And then I also talk to the needs, like in the hospital, I talk to the needs of the people where it's going to be. And they say, well, don't put blurry images, or for instance, that piece that you were showing in like an office, the CEO didn't want any red. And I was like, okay, you know, MasterCard didn't want any blue. And I'm like, okay. And then I go, all right, I'm not going to fight with them. I'm going to go, all right, let's go. And then, you know, there's one word everybody says all the time when they see my work. Just one. They say mesmerizing. They always say that. Hypnotizing, mesmerizing. So that's what I think. How am I going, like in the subway, how am I going to make things completely taken? That's like, ooh, that's what I want. Why do I want that? Because when you're confused or you're mesmerized, you start looking inside. That's the hope, you know?
Yeah, you have given us, you know, an incredible insight about your personal journey in the arts. You have also advised the young generation. And more than anything, to bring color and happiness to the world is something that is a mission to you. That's what you think it is?
My mission is to be myself, and I will be myself using many different outlets. So one of them is to tap into the color, the vibrancy of energy, and then allow this to connect some sort of message for the others. If you're ready to receive, you will get it. If you're not, it's fine, because it's going to keep moving. It has no constraints. It's energy. It just changes form. So my thing is, I am okay being myself, and when I'm doing that, I am serving my purpose in this beautiful, you know. The third dimension is the most magical of all. This is the only place where we can actually feel with the senses, have joy, have fun. And we're here going like, I have no money and I have no love. And we're not having fun. And this is what it is go inside and see who you are, and then come and just smell the flowers. Literally smell the flowers. Eat the fruit. Go, you know how beautiful nature is? You know, you see it grow. Have the flower that shows you, oh, this is beautiful, and then you have the fruit, so you can sense it and you can eat it. And this is what it is. We're in this paradise, and it's not.
what do you desire the most now that quarantine will end? What is your biggest desire
I,
outside your work? Something that is a food, experience, life. What is the thing that you
I
cannot
want
get at this
I
moment?
want to keep on waking up every day. Like if I was 3 years old, this is what I'm doing when I wake up. I wake up like I sleep like down, and I wake up like if I was a baby. You know, when babies go like that, and I go, "Wow, I'm still here." And then I always go like this, and I say, you know, I talk to my guides, and I said, "What are we gonna combine today?" It's just like if you know, like, what am I gonna do today? Let's do it. Let's do it.
So
So it's
being in quarantine doesn't let you to miss anything in particular.
no, well, I was missing the street, but I started going out every day for two. I walked yesterday almost 3 hours, nonstop, just going around the neighborhoods, like hi, hi, and people. So I miss. I don't miss the traveling, but I miss going to places. You know, the traveling and no, but going to the. But I don't really miss it because I'm actually enjoying very much the place that I am right now. I'm in a very good place. I think this is the happiest moment in my life ever, and the quarantine has made me realize how lucky I am.
It is. It is. Well, we
Really.
wanted to. It is a big lesson to everybody. Being alone is also, and with yourself, it can be also a great thing.
Oh, amazing. Because, you know, I was for a long time with, I always been with somebody since I'm 18. So I didn't realize that I was being devotional to people and I was never devotional to myself. And right now I'm ready to be in partnership, but as long as I keep my own devotion to who I am, that's it.
You're in
Everything
a very passionate relationship with yourself.
I love it. I love being me, and I'm not ashamed of it anymore. I used to be ashamed. I was scared. And I had this Taoist master. He said, until you do not become unshamefully yourself, you're not going to be happy. And this last week, I was like, I did it. I'm so much myself right now, and I love it. And this spark is what I want people to don't be afraid. Go for it. Go for it.
Absolutely. And thank you very much. Talking to you is always a big injection of energy, and such an incredible desire of a woman to grab the world and just have it and embrace it. So we want to thank you. We have your work in our website. We have a First Steps and an RC and an Arspen in Paris with an incredible response. And you're always creating. It's amazing to see how much more you're able to create. We have 34 artists, and you're one of these artists that always have sort of this amazing complete body of work together, and we are very proud, to after so many years have the chance to be able to encounter through your artwork as well as a friend and as an artist. I respect you very much, and I know people and all around the world know you, and it's easy to that transformation that you have done as a what you call a photographer. I don't think you always for me were an artist,
Yeah.
to see that transformation, of what you have become yourself is amazing. So I want to thank you very much. I want to invite everybody tomorrow. Tomorrow we have an amazing chat with because we're about to end that with an amazing Ecuadorian Miami-based photographer, Ricky Coete, which is very, very interesting in the humanity of the male form. So thank you very much, Monica. I'm going to leave everybody now with this amazing video of this installation that you have produced. And last words for anybody that you wanted to
Yeah,
give?
well, thank you so much. It's always so great to be able to connect with you. Many that we've done it so many different times of our lives, and you're somebody who's also very profound and can understand, the way life goes up and down. So I thank you for this space. Beautiful, and
Yeah.
the only thing I can say is like, don't let fear eat your brain. Fear is one of the 5 emotions. So if you learn to observe your emotions, you don't control them, but you learn to ask them where they're supposed to take you. And when you do that, you're gonna be surprised. So just go
Thank
in
you very much.
and be yourself. Yeah, just like that. And I say hi to Manuela. That's her piece.
Thank you very much. And I will see you guys all this week at noon and next week at noon. So I hope you guys join us tomorrow. Thank you very much for your attention. I know it's a difficult time, and I send wonderful energy to everybody. And I see you tomorrow at noon.
Okay.
God bless you. Bye-bye.
Chao,
Ciao,
Tito.
ciao.